How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And I really do appreciate you taking your time tuning into my video. I know there's no need to apologize, but I just want to let you guys know why I haven't made a video in the past 3 days. First, I've been trying to get a lot of Christmas shopping done. And then my daughter, she's out of town for about a week. And my son-in-law works a lot of hours. So I've been on grandpa duty for the past 3 days. And on the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, I had the little guy for 12 hours each day, which of course I do like spending a lot of time with him. But it's virtually impossible to make a video and trying to keep tabs on a 5-year-old. But now everything should be a lot better. As gun owners here in America, we're supposed to abide by all the rules set by our city or county and state and federal governments when it comes to firearms. And if we make one little slip up when it comes to an ATF rule, not a law but a rule, you could end up in prison for a long time. But then when it comes to police officers and other law enforcement officials, sometimes they kind of look the other way. I made a video, I believe it was earlier this year or late last year, that a small town in Iowa called Adair that had a population of about 800 people. And there was a 3-person police department. But some people got suspicious when the police chief of the department wanted to buy 90 machine guns. That's right, 90 machine guns for a 3-person department. And he even wanted to buy an M134 Gatling gun, and that could shoot 6,000 rounds per minute. The feds finally figured out that the police chief, Bradley Wendt, was acquiring the weapons not for the department, but to sell them for personal profit, for lying to federal law enforcement, illegal possession of a machine gun, and conspiring to defraud the United States. And this guy is actually appealing his conviction. And in an interview, he said, "I'm not guilty of this. Every cop in the nation's going to jail." So is he inferring that all cops are doing this? And earlier this year, he was convicted, and a federal judge sentenced him to 5 years in prison. And now it's coming out, this happens a lot in police departments all across the country. The dozens of higher-ups in police departments, like chiefs of police and sheriffs, as well as captains and lieutenants, using their departments to buy firearms, and some considered weapons of war, and illegally selling them in more than 20 states. Going over 20 years of government audits, investigators uncovered at least 50 cases of police illegal selling firearms, online and through dealers, and even out of the back of cars and their homes. They say a lot of times the guns were sold to gun enthusiasts. The people want them for their collections. And some people even paid 10 times the market value of the firearms. And in some cases, the firearms ended up in the hands of criminals. And even one was used in a fatal shooting of a 14-year-old. Back in 2011 in the state of New Mexico, federal agents took down a smuggling ring. And you got to listen to this. It involved the police chief, the mayor, and a person that was the village trustee. They sold automatic weapons and other gear to the frickin' Mexican cartel. And in 2021, a multi-state conspiracy was uncovered. And that conspiracy involved a Russian arms dealer and 3 police chiefs and 1 sheriff. And also a Delta Force veteran who actually sold machine guns directly to the trafficker. The evidence was so overwhelming, they all pled guilty. There was actually another co-conspirator, and that person was an intelligence analyst for Homeland Security, but he pled not guilty and is awaiting trial. Get this, this is a really good one. Between 2017 and 2021, the ATF reported that almost 26,000 guns were traced from crime scenes in the United States back to either law enforcement, a government agency, or the military. But even though that happened between 2017 and 2021, they don't know how many of those 26,000 firearms were either stolen, sold, or lost. But of course it's one of the 3. There's a government agency called the GSA, and they're the Government Service Administration. And the Inspector General found over a 15-year period of time that law enforcement reported missing firearms, that more than 2/3 of them just didn't go missing. They just didn't disappear, but they actually were sold or traded illegally. And that included grenade launchers and Uzis. But it keeps getting worse. In 2018, a government accountability audit found that $100 million worth of guns and ammunition that was purchased by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement was unaccounted for. That's right, $100 million worth of ammunition and firearms. And out of a total of 58 cases, people in law enforcement were criminally charged with illegally selling firearms. And out of those 58, 56 were convicted or they admitted that they were guilty. And the other 2 pled not guilty and are awaiting trial. Now, what I'm going to tell you is going to make you absolutely mad. But we know stuff like this goes on a lot. According to interviews with ATF agents who worked on those investigations, after finding service weapons in the hands of citizens, they would let the person and police department off with just warnings, and they were not charged. But if any of us would have done it, we would have been prosecuted to the full extent of the law and put in jail for a long time. The ATF's agents said that prosecutors are usually reluctant to charge anyone in these cases. And this is actually a quote from somebody in the ATF. It is our goal to educate, not investigate. Holy shit! And that was actually found in a law enforcement memo in 2017. And even a former ATF agent in charge of the ATF's Los Angeles Field Division said, "We are not looking to prosecute fellow law enforcement officers." Then what the hell are you there for? Oh, that's right, to hassle law-abiding citizens. And in 2017, that former special agent in charge wrote a memo called Growing Trend that was officers purchasing and selling firearms for a profit. And the memo went on to warn people that anyone doing this would be considered a straw purchaser. And also this former ATF agent in charge talked about a pistol that was confiscated during a narcotics bust. And they traced the purchase back to a police officer in Pasadena, California. And they said they arrested this police officer for selling more than 100 firearms out of his home illegally. He even claims he didn't know he was breaking the law. But then later on he did plead guilty. But get this, he only served less than a year in federal prison and had to pay a $10,000 fine. But he was allowed to keep his 2 luxury vehicles. One which was an Alfa Romeo, the other one was a Porsche. And then this part of the story comes from Los Angeles, when a U.S. Customs and Border Protection officer, and this guy even had secret level security clearance, and investigators found out this guy was selling firearms for at least 20 years. But in 2019, this guy was finally arrested after selling weapons out of the trunk of his car to an undercover agent. In his home, they found at least 250 firearms, and that included 2 short-barreled rifles. And get this, 41 machine guns. And they even talked about several other cases that involved sheriffs and other high-ranking officers that used their positions as police officers to get access to machine guns and short-barreled rifles, and also explosives like grenades, and then violated federal law by selling them. In order for these police departments to get these high-powered weapons like machine guns, but of course they have to get permission by the ATF. And even though it's been the law for more than 30 years that the ATF should vet these applications to try to find out if they're legit, a report shows that in January of 2023, the ATF finally actually started vetting these applications. But according to ATF officials that worked on some of these cases, a lot of times the ATF did not assess whether these weapons would be appropriate for that police department to have them, nor did they track their final destination. And evidently, law enforcement in Iowa need a lot of machine guns, because by the year 2023, there were more than 1,200 machine guns registered to law enforcement in the state. And here's another one that just kicks you right in the balls. The ATF didn't deny any law enforcement agency in the state when they asked for machine guns. And even though this is a lot, most likely this is just scratching the surface. This for sure is running rampant all across the country. And it's just crazy to think that when the ATF finds out that a law enforcement officer is selling firearms, they just give them a warning because they don't want to arrest what they call one of their own. But like I said earlier, they would throw us in jail and throw away the frickin' key. I would really like to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comment section. And if you enjoy videos like this, and also if you want to help the channel and help it to continue to grow, I just ask you to take a few seconds of your time to like, share, and subscribe and hit those post notifications, and as well leave a comment in the comment section. And as always, I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.